Okay, little end of the month update here. As you can see, I've got my little sprite test program running in the background here. I would say that the sprites are pretty much done. I mean, there's going to be plenty more to do with them, but since I am converting over to Vulkan, any time spent working on them now would just have to be redone. So now that I've got a pretty good foundation, I think I'll just leave it as it is for now and worry about anything else I need to work on after the conversion to Vulkan is complete. I'm still working out some of the early details for the Pixel Information Encoder, or the Pixies, and though I haven't really started on implementing it yet, I'm kind of planning out exactly how I'm going to do the first generation of them. Mostly, I'm going to have some run length encoding going on and some mode selection and markup features. But the Pixies are not really my focus right now. I've shifted over to working on the tile layer. Not real happy with everything I've accomplished so far, but I've kind of run into a unexpected situation. And that is, while I was in the planning stages, I was planning on reusing some of the work that I'd done on the sprites and the text layer. Now, there is still the potential to do that, but I've realized there are some issues with implementing a tile editor and map editor. Now, there are already existing tools that do this, and they save to a bunch of different formats. So it occurred to me that maybe spending time creating my own editor would be wasted time, and what I really should focus on is creating a conversion tool for taking some of the output from all of the existing programs and converting it into something I can use directly in Fuselage. So my attention has kind of shifted a little bit. Now, considering I'm going to be using maps and tiles generated by other programs and converted into Fuselage, this has me rethinking my way of implementing things. So I'm not exactly starting over with the tile layer, but since I'm early enough in the tile layer, it allows me to stop before I get too deep and reconsider how I'm going to do things. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. The switch to Vulkan won't happen until the pixies and the tile layers are at the end of what I call the groundwork stages. And this is, zero point 0.1 version, ANUS as I call it. And by the time I move on to zero point 0.2, which will be the implementation of everything that I've done so far, but converted over to use Vulkan, then I will also be ready to start implementing my input handler because I am completely moving away from Raylib and any other dependencies, and a good input handler will be essential. Now, Raylib will still be used on macOS and Linux for the time being because even though I plan on doing everything native on every operating system that I support, I can't do everything all at once, and Raylib makes a great stopgap for the systems which I haven't had time to sit down and utilize their native functions. So once the input handler is complete, the conversion to Vulkan is complete, and I have a few other little things wrapped up, I will begin working on the virtual machine. And that right there is probably going to be the most significant addition to the project. Even though Fuselage will not strictly require the use of the VPU, or Virtual Processing Unit, which is a virtual emulated RISC-V processor, the whole purpose of Fuselage is to create a virtual platform, and a platform needs a processor. Now, even though you could use all of the Fuselage layers in C, C++, or any other language on any of the supported platforms, the ultimate goal of this project is to create a system that emulates a console or console-like environment that could have existed in the late 90s, early 2000s. So the long-term goal is to have a completely integrated development environment, including the virtual processor. Therefore, once I've gotten the framework, the foundation built, I'm going to start working on the VPU and a assembly language monitor built on a console that runs inside the Fuselage engine. I'm not expecting that people will develop software using the assembly language monitor. That's not really going to be its intention. I think really it's going to be more just about being able to test and try out the features of the VPU as I'm developing them. So anybody who's interested in learning RISC-V and wants an assembly language monitor that is going to be more or less platform agnostic, I think this might be a viable tool. No aspect of this project is strictly written in stone, so as I get to different phases, I might shift directions or see opportunities that I hadn't realized existed before. But for now, that's more or less the direction I'm headed in, and we'll see how it goes once I get there. For now, that's all I've got, so watch this space, have some fun, play more games, drink more beer, blah blah blah. And if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, criticisms, insults, injury, whatever, select all, move to trash.